Hello and welcome to the second episode of our BMW E36 GTR build series. Our goal is to build an all-metal version of the BMW E36 GTR. In the previous episode, you saw me building a wire structure to lay down the main design, and in today's episode, I will show you how I made the first side out of sheet metal. I first started with the side skirts and then moved on to the wheel arch itself, but let us dive in the build labs and I will tell you how I did it. First I made sure all the glass is covered to protect it from sparks. Then I removed the rear bumper, which was still part of the wire structure. So I quickly cut it apart. After I removed the bumper, it was time to connect the inner and the outer side panel again. First I started to remove all the undercoating and paint to have a bare metal surface to start with. After I removed all the paint, it was time to finish hammering the inner sheet metal up to get in line to meet the outer, like I started in the previous episode. I started with an angle bent piece of sheet metal and then curved it with my stretch machine to make a proper transition between the two body parts. It's important to connect the two panels solid because they are part of the structure of the whole car. After some bending, I made sure to get a perfect fit so I can weld it in with some solid welds. First I tacked it in position and then made some solid welds all the way through. I chose the technique with the angle bend piece to have a little overlap on the sheet metal to protect it from getting heat bent and heat dents, which was the case if I welded it gap sheet metal to sheet metal. that the structure of the car is as solid as original again, it is time to start with the wheel arch itself. First, I made the point where the wheel arch ends and then took a piece of angle bent sheet metal again to start stretch curve the outer wheel arch line. Now you can see what I made the wire structure for. It shows me where I need to bend my sheet metal piece to get it fit right the way we wanted it to be. After all the lines matched, I tack welded the piece in place and then moved back to the side where the wire structure is to make my templates for the upper wheel arch piece itself. I took as much time as it needed to make the template perfect, because it is important to later have perfect gaps for nice solid welds. Now it was time to transfer it to sheet metal and cut it out correctly. I did cut two identical pieces, to have one for the other side where the wire structure still is. So we have later a perfect start to copy the other side perfectly identical to the side we do now. Then I started to shape the sheet metal. First I bent it with my hand and then I some kind of smashed it between my knees. This is the method I always do to give the sheet metal piece the first little bends and curves to get it in the position where I wanted it to be. Then I went to the English wheel to give it a little curve to make it look more like it came from the factory that way. I made this so it looks less boxy and a little more like an original press bent side panel piece, so later you won't even recognize it at first look. If you are interested in the BMW E30 in the background now, there will be also some videos about it too. It belongs to my little brother Sven. Now you see how the effort in first building a wire structure pays off. I have nice gaps and good fitting pieces of metal to start welding. I cleared out the last imperfect spots by using the shrink-on stretcher, the English wheel and my anvil. After the fit was just perfect, it was finally time to tack weld the pieces together. After I fitted the panels correctly to each other and was happy with the gaps and all the way the lines flow and everything ended up, I moved on to the front before I will weld up the back all together. To make sure the look between the front and the rear does look good together. If not, it was easier to change as on a finished all welded up section. I welded those pieces and bolted it to the removable side skirt part. Then, same process as you saw on the rear. Stretch band an angled piece of sheet metal by using the wire structure to tell me where it needs to be bent. I choose the technique of doing it with two pieces of sheet metal. I mean the angle bend piece, which I curve with the stretcher and shrinker, and the upper piece, which I basically hand bend between my knees and the English wheel. It would be possible for me to make the whole wheel arch out of one piece of sheet metal, but it would be so hard to duplicate it later to the other side where the wire structure still is. So I've chosen this method to make it out of two pieces, which I basically can mirror or like bend the other direction to later have an easy start on the other side and make the best possibility to get it as symmetrical as possible on the other side. Then I took the template off of the wire structure, transferred it to a piece of sheet metal, cut it out and hand formed it again. The piece you see now will be the same piece that I will use on the other side, just bend the other direction. I gave it a little curvy line on the front as well, to make it look a little more like it came from the factory that way. After I tack welded it in position, I took a closer look to see if the front and the rear wheel arch will look good next to each other. I was truly satisfied with the way the wheel arch looked next to each other, so I welded the front one all the way up, grinded the welds down and smoothed it all out, and later did the same to the rear. To be able to have a rounder edge on the outer corner, I took the TIG weld and re-welded, or you can say melted, the outer corner. To be able to grind it down with a bigger radius, I did this both to the front and to the rear. Then I finished grinding and sanding. After that, I took a hand anvil and a hammer to bend up the inner corner. It was important to have it there while welding to make sure the piece is solid and protected from getting heat bent while do the welds. Now it was time to start do the lead work. Enjoy the progress. So I hope you liked the build labs. For us it is now time to wait until the car gets 3D scanned and the transition pieces between the bumper and the new wheel arches are 3D printed. Since they will be mirrored on the computer, they will give us the exact start point on the other side to start with the new wheel arch after we cut off the wire structure. And if you are interested in the work I do, like the Volkswagen MK2 you see in the background, make sure to subscribe my channel. There will be a ton of cool projects incoming. So the video is about to end. If you liked it, or tell me how you liked it and leave a comment. Tschüss, bye bye und ade.